And Mr. Mayor, just wanted to clarify, staff had a conversation with the consultant that originally made this proposal to us about 6 months ago. That baseline initial assessment is actually 30 grand with some in-kind donations. The full climate action plan would be closer to 70 once we get into policy and some other things. So, really the proposal would be for 30 grand in 2023, if you're so inclined to add that to your budget moving forward.
Can anyone from Stillwater or yourself feel free? I'm looking at the other cities that have done this recently. They're all, for the most part, larger than Stillwater, pretty significantly, except for like Winona was one I found that was about our size. But in reading through Winona's climate action plan, which is they're a little bit bigger than we are, not by much, but I was there. It seems like they did that in partnership with Excel Energy.
Correct.
And so there's some Excel Energy planning and energy consumption stuff that seemed like it would be actionable. But a lot of the other things that are mentioned in these reports, I don't know how actionable they are. Like, I guess I'm just looking for examples. Like when we talk about reducing CO2 emissions, like I just don't know what lever this city can pull. If we were a larger city and had a larger fleet of vehicles or something, like I can see where that makes sense. We just don't have that many cars and trucks. Like we hire contractors to build our roads and things, and it's not like we're the ones going out to do a lot of that work. And so, we don't really have an industrial base in Stillwater. It's purely residential. The city doesn't own a really significant amount of property in the city to implement any kind of agriculture canopy kind of things. And so I'm just wondering if you guys have any ideas of, again, just kind of spitballing, like if we spend the resources to develop a plan. Again, I think there's parts of it that I think a lot of it makes a lot of sense in terms of, especially with the rainfall stuff and flooding and so on. And just looking, forward, many years down the road, hopefully, later rather than sooner, and how we're going to adjust to that tempo. That's super disruptive for our city when we have to put up the barrier and the flood walls and all of those things. And I can forecast we're going to have to do that more frequently in the future, right? Especially seeing that increase in significant rainfall events, which seems to be the trend. We're not getting that much more rain year over year, but when we do, it's coming in greater amounts and longer periods of drought, which creates all the runoff that makes our river go up and down a lot faster. So I can see some of the things, but what I struggle with is we don't have a lot of the levers that larger cities do to affect change for that. We can't really tell people to put in better windows. We don't have money in the city to provide incentives to help them with green construction projects and things like they do in St. Louis Park and Edina. So I'm just kind of wondering if there's some things that you guys have like kind of on your wish list that you think we could achieve through this.
Sure. I'll start off by saying I think that climate action planning is great because you can make it really specific to your own city. I've done a lot of case studies for Minnetonka, Edina, and some of these other cities that are working with Excel Energy and other organizations. And a lot of their goals are different. And like you're saying, Stillwater doesn't have a huge industrial sector, and that's okay. But part of it is just working around that, and that doesn't necessarily need to be in your plan, but it's really making it what can ensure a healthy environment for people who live here and what matters to them. So it's definitely very personal. And a lot of these plans are very different, like you're saying, in bigger metropolitan areas. So that does vary, but go ahead.
We want to stress that we try not to leap too far ahead. This is about laying down the foundation and having a strategy. So that's what we're here for tonight. A lot of the cities, however, are doing all of this in conjunction with other entities, watersheds, and so forth. And I will emphasize that Edina, for example, did say, look, we don't generate a lot of greenhouse gases as a city, but imagine all around us, and especially if we link with other communities, we're at a major intersection that probably has a lot of GHG going on. We can do what we can. We try to influence, educate, do the outreach, and work with the entities who can help. And with the bill that just passed in the state, we're going to have funding galore. I'm quite confident. So I wouldn't worry too much about it falling. I know Mike was feeling everything falls on Stillwater, and it's tax-based to solve for all the surrounding communities. I think that is isn't gonna be the case. And we just need to know what you're generating and what you can manage. Beyond that, we try to influence and set an example, so I
I
don't
guess
want
that's
you
what
to
I'm
be too
looking
worried
at. Like
about
a
that.
lot of the other plans are really good with actionable things. I mean, it's like we have a fleet of 50 vehicles. We want to go to electric by here. You know, Edina's got 15 city buildings where they can significantly reduce. Like we just went through an energy audit. We've got 4 buildings in Stillwater. Like so, it's kind of looking at the actionable stuff that the city could do. I think we've either done it or in the process, or it's just something we can't do. Right, like the downtown lighting stuff we're looking at, but I couldn't.
I know.
Basically, if you guys can help me find, I mean, I want to prepare for this. I think we need to talk about it in our budget discussion.
Right.
But I just need, and again, I'm not putting you on the spot tonight, but if you can find other examples of cities like that loosely fit us and like with some actionable goals that came out of it, I just don't want to spend $100,000 and then we look at it and go, okay, this is great, but we really don't have the authority or the tools to
No.
affect any of the things
No, we
that
have
are listed. That would be super helpful because I
looked
just didn't see
through
any.
what others are doing on energy, and they have some very interesting approaches. But I trust greatly Pale Blue Dot, who's done at least 40 plans to help us with that as well. That they will lead the way, and they will know what to set aside that you've already taken care of. We need to address probably beyond the city itself what all we can do for the community.
And then if there are any other models of, like, I don't know how we would work it through, you know, Oak Park Heights and maybe the townships and, you know, Bayport, Lake Elmo. I mean, as mayors, we talk pretty frequently on things. I know, like, when Excel, they're decommissioning the King plant, they basically got all of the municipalities surrounding involved in communicating. If you can help find a model for how to, like, facilitate that, and maybe if you could do these presentations at the Park Heights League Board and stuff like that, right? That would be awesome.
Well, that was going to be our pro bono contribution.
Okay.
Doing the communication,
These are awesome.
education, outreach
Right.
with Pale Blue Dot. That's why you're saving $47,000
Right.
in cash. Yes, we've actually spoken to a group in Oak Park Heights that seemed pretty fired up a while ago. That's why I'm optimistic about partnering. And as you know, Mike was saying, you're already working on the decommissioning of the plant. That's bringing you all together. Let's make that happen.
I mean, with those awesome kids that were just in from the high school, I mean, the district's a great place because it touches all of the surrounding communities, right? It pulls
Right, the
kids
school
from all
district,
over,
right.
so that might not be a bad place. I wish they were still here. I could hit them up for that.
Well, we got a starting place with, as long as I can butt in a little bit. We met last night with the city of Northfield, and the city of Northfield built partnerships with their Rotary Club. The Rotary Club is taking it on as a major thing for their community.
Okay.
So they've worked with all the universities, or the colleges in Northfield, all the different groups. We're already doing our part, or a lot of it. We started on what we've done at the ice arena, the dome, our electric usage, changing all our streetlights, we'll look to LEDs. So we've got a good handle on that, but I think we need to expand the partnerships with these other people. We're trying to do our part, and other people need to do their part. So the school, you know, are the schools changing their lights to LEDs or whatever? I don't know, but there needs to be some coordination between all of us. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we met last night. It was interesting.
So,
The
Mr.
Rotary
Mayor.
Club is down in Northfield has done a phenomenal job on what they've done. But like we talked about, our community development staff is overworked right now. We're not going to be the coordinators of this. There's no way we have enough staff to do what we're doing right now, and we're struggling to hire. We just went through our budget, so we're struggling. But I think the partnerships is what we have to do. Somehow, it has to be a partnership between us. It's not Stillwater always being, well, we can be the leader, but it has to be a partnership amongst everyone, not just us.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, I think the intent of this was to receive information, much like we did the last couple of meetings with some budget proposals. What I'm hearing the staff would recommend too is, if this moves forward, maybe it's more of that existing condition scans, and it's got to be a partnership. And so we can come back with some recommendations at the next time we bring back the budget for further discussion as an input, and you can give us direction at that point. Now, we're not going to solve for this tonight, but it was a good opportunity to provide some information to you all.
Right, and I think, I mean, the last time, and I appreciate Sustainable Stillwater, I appreciate all the work you do tremendously. But the last time we talked about it was it was an 11th hour discussion, so I didn't have time to look at it, and I wasn't really prepared to ask any questions at that point, because it was kind of new to me, right, for a couple days. But I think if we can get glued out back in, like just even via Zoom, to talk to them a little bit more too, I think that'd be great.
Got it. Thank you.